This is Shakira Spencer, here in her early 30s, a mother of two. This was Shakira after the campaign of abuse. She was tortured, enslaved, starved, and forced into sex work, all at the hands of those she considered her friends.
She welcomed them into her home, trusted them, laughed with them, and believed they were her friends. But over the course of a year, these same friends starved her, tortured her, humiliated her, and turned her life into a nightmare. And when she was too weak to fight back, they left her to die alone in a cupboard while they went out to buy kebabs. This is the story of Shakira Spencer, a woman whose kindness was exploited until it cost her life. This was how it all began. Shakira Spencer was born on June 13, 1987, raised in Ealing, London, by her parents Lloyd and Medha. Ealing is nestled between three-lined streets and the occasional hum of the Elizabeth line in the distance. It's a place where people know their neighbors. This part of Ealing is upmarket, tidy, and well cared for. People who knew Shakira described her as bubbly, positive, warm, and deeply caring. She wasn't confrontational, she wasn't harsh, and she was the type of person who saw the good in others. After finishing school, she began working in a nursery. Her mother used to joke that the chaos of toddlers might put her off having children of her own, but it didn't. In 2010, she became a mother for the first time, and in 2011, she celebrated the birth of her second son. Her sister, Irina, said that Shakira had always wanted children, that being a mother was her greatest joy. She doted on her boys. She loved them fiercely. For most of her adult life, Shakira lived quietly, focused on raising her sons and providing a stable home. But in 2014, she met someone who would change the course of her life forever. Ashana Studholme, a neighbor in her block of flats in Hanwell. Shakira saw a new friend, a chance to be social and to feel included. She had no idea she had just opened the door to a predator. Ashana was charismatic, outgoing, and loud. She pulled Shakira into her world quickly, which involved parties, drinks, and late nights. And although Shakira wasn't naturally interested in the clubbing and drug culture Ashana lived in, she went along because she wanted connection. Shakira's own mother, Shakira Spencer, would later provide perhaps the most chilling insight into why her daughter always wanted to be liked, which made her keen to please people. However, this trait also made her vulnerable. Ashana called Shakira a natural beauty. In another, she wrote pretty on Shakira's Facebook. Just harmless messages, likes, and comments on Facebook. To somebody like Shakira, these comments meant everything. What started as friendship would soon grow into control, and eventually into abuse so severe that it shocked even seasoned homicide investigators. As years passed, Shakira became more enmeshed with Ashana's social circle. In 2017, she was introduced to two of Ashana's close friends, which were Shaun Pendlebury, who was Ashana's boyfriend, and Lisa Richardson, who was a longtime friend. Together, this trio formed the group Shakira felt connected to. But behind closed doors, the relationship dynamics were toxic. Court records would later reveal a chilling pattern in Ashana's life. 3 previous convictions for assaulting women in both Edinburgh and London. She also had multiple shoplifting offenses. Most disturbingly, a caution for child neglect after a child fell from a flat roof while playing in a paddling pool, unattended under her watch. But none of this was visible to Shakira when Ashana knocked on her door that first time, hiding a predatory mask with a friendly smile. What Shakira saw as a neighbor offering companionship. But what she couldn't see was a woman Detective Chief Inspector Brian Howie would later describe that Ashana Studholme is a cruel, manipulative, and coercive individual. She had surveyed the quiet Ealing neighborhood and selected Shakira, who was someone trusting, lonely, and desperate to belong. In Shakira, she found the perfect victim. But Ashana didn't work alone. Lisa Richardson, 45, was Ashana's closest friend and partner in sadism. Neighbors described Richardson's flat as a hive of antisocial behavior, visitors going and coming at odd hours, fights erupting in stairwells. She had a conviction for cultivating cannabis. Then there's Shaun Pendlebury, 26, and Ashana's former boyfriend. His criminal record read like a catalog of violence and lawlessness, drug offenses, handling stolen goods, assaulting 2 police officers. Ashana gradually separated Shakira from everyone who truly cared about her, replacing genuine relationships with toxic dependence. Shakira's became harder to contact. She missed family events. Her sister's messages didn't go through. Her father, Leod, visited her flat and Shakira wouldn't let him in. He spent an hour talking to her in the foyer, but her refusal to let him inside was alarming. Her appearance was even more alarming. She had lost a shocking amount of weight. She looked bruised, weak, and mentally withdrawn. Something was deeply wrong, but she wouldn't talk about it. Around this time, Shakira revealed a devastating truth to her sister. She no longer had custody of her children. This is shocking. Shakira loved her sons, but she didn't explain the circumstances. She didn't explain how or why it happened. She said only that their father had custody now. After that, she drifted even further away. The COVID-19 pandemic added to the distance. The limitation in transportation made visits difficult, especially with Irina's younger daughter recovering from heart surgery. With each passing month, Shakira seemed more and more unreachable. Her family didn't know it yet, but her life was already being controlled by Ashana, Shaun, and Lisa. What had started as friendship quickly transformed into something far more sinister. Police later uncovered the full truth that Shakira wasn't just being manipulated, she was being enslaved. For more than a year before her death, her so-called friends subjected her to cruelty beyond comprehension. They took control of her benefits and bank cards. She had no access to her own money. They moved into her home, and she was made to sleep on urine-soaked cardboard in a bike shed outside. They starved her, and her foods were ketchup sachets. She would scrub the floors and wash the dishes for people who saw her as nothing more than property. Furthermore, she was forced into prostitution, and all the money earned went straight to her abusers. She was isolated completely from her friends and family. She had no means of communicating with them. Detectives would later say they had effectively cuckooed her. This is a term used when criminals invade and dominate the home of a vulnerable person. In early September 2012, the abuse escalated to a horrifying level. The trio abused Shakira continuously for days. She was beaten repeatedly. They stomped on her head, punched her, kicked her, and set about inflicting injury after injury. They burned her with flames and scalded her with boiling water. They forced her to strip naked while they filmed her with humiliation. From a size 16, she dropped to a size 6 inches a matter of months. By August 2022, Shakira's condition had become so shocking that police officers on patrol stopped her near Ashana's flat, deeply concerned about her appearance and demeanor. But Shakira was so thoroughly broken and controlled by her tormentors that she said nothing. She returned to her solitary hell and perhaps the last opportunity to save her life. CCTV footage captured on September 10th shows Shakira slowly crossing the road, barely able to walk. she moved with the agony of a woman whose body had endured far more than it could bear. She looked malnourished, and her steps were weak. Even in this condition, they did not stop. On September 12th, Shakira was so injured she couldn't walk properly. The abusers shoved her into the boot of a car and drove her back to her flat. Witnesses saw her collapse as she tried to exit the vehicle. She needed medical help. Instead, she was dragged inside. Once in the flat, they placed her in a hallway cupboard. They closed the door and left her there, bleeding and barely conscious. Then they walked away, and then, unbelievably, they went to get kebabs. CCTV footage showed them walking to buy food, laughing, and behaving casually as if nothing had happened. Shakira died either on September 12th or within the next 2 days. To the abusers, Shakira was no longer human. They had successfully reduced a loving mother, a woman with dreams and hopes, into what they saw as a commodity, something to be used, abused, and discarded. For nearly 2 weeks, Shakira's body remained in that flat, slowly decomposing. Neighbors began noticing a foul odor coming from her door. They hadn't seen Shakira in weeks, and the most disturbing sign of all appeared, which was maggots crawling from underneath the door frame. Alarmed and worried, a neighbor called the police to request a welfare check. When the officers forced their way inside on September 25th, they found a scene of horror. Shakira's decomposed body was lying on a child's bunk bed. The body had been moved and surrounded with ice packs by her killers to delay decomposition. Parts of the flat had been cleaned with chemicals and air fresheners. CCTV footage later showed her killers entering and exiting the flat with cleaning supplies, purchased using Shakira's own bank card. Shakira's bank card had been used to purchase a cleaning product, and Studholme and Richardson used their own bank cards to purchase items including refuse sacks and gloves, all in an attempt to clean up the crime scenes and conceal their involvement in the murder. As the police processed the scene, they received another phone call. It came from the uncle of Shaun Pendlebury. Shaun's uncle had told them that only hours earlier, Shaun had turned up at his mother's home in a state of panic. Shaun's mother, Michelle, had asked him what was going on and pressed him to explain himself. Then Shaun told her that he had done something really bad. Michelle didn't understand, and Shaun further explained that he had burned someone's feet and now they were dead. Michelle was shocked. However, she didn't understand what he was saying. She hadn't seen the news. She had no idea about Shakira Spencer. When Michelle further inquired, Shaun said her name, Shakira, and that he had killed her, but not on purpose and not alone. Shaun told his mother that 2 other women were involved, Ashana Studholme and Lisa Richardson. Michelle didn't know what to do. Her son had just confessed to something horrific, but she didn't want to hand him to the police. She got in the car and drove Shaun over to her brother's home. But when they arrived, things didn't go the way Shaun had hoped. His uncle was horrified. Shaun's uncle interrogated him if he was now a killer going around and killing people, but Shaun denied it. He said that it wasn't him and claimed he didn't lay a hand on Shakira, but the women, Ashana and Lisa, who had done it. Then he said that he only helped to clean up afterwards. Then Shaun made a request. He asked his uncle for help buying a ticket to the Seychelles, where his grandmother lived. He wanted out of the country. He wanted to flee. But instead, Shaun's uncle called the police. This confession broke the case open immediately. The police moved quickly and arrested all 3 suspects. Their reactions were described as attempts to feign shock that came across as poorly acted and insincere. None of them showed genuine remorse. The evidence, which included their phone messages, CCTV footage, forensic findings, neighbor testimonies, and the confession all pointed that the trio had tortured and murdered Shakira Spencer. Their mobile phones were seized, which laid bare to detectives just what they had done to Shakira. Hundreds of messages were found on their phones referencing the abuse they had subjected Shakira to. Richardson and Studholme exchanged images of a bedraggled Shakira, mocking her. Videos of Shakira being beaten up while the others laughed and jeered were also discovered. Shaun Pendlebury, Ashana Studholme, and Lisa Richardson stood in the dock, side by side, at a magistrate's court in London. They were each charged with murder. Pendlebury and Studholme also faced charges of conspiracy to cause grievous bodily harm and preventing a lawful burial. All three of them pleaded not guilty. They had all denied involvement in their interviews with the police. Following a 12-week trial at the Old Bailey, Studholme, Richardson, and Pendlebury were convicted of Spencer's murder on 11 December 2023. In February 2024, they were each sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 34 years. In her sentencing statement, Judge Angela Afferty told the trio they had shown no remorse for their actions and their only concern was for themselves. All three will be eligible for parole on 25th May 2056. Family members struggle to comprehend how their kind, gentle daughter and sister had suffered so brutally right under their noses. Judge Angela Rafferty KC described the treatment of Ms. Spencer as an orgy of violence, adding, "This was a sadistic campaign in which you all took pleasure in inflicting pain and suffering on a vulnerable woman." Her parents spoke of the devastation of losing their child in such a cruel and degrading way. Shakira's father spoke publicly for the first time after the sentencing. He had traveled to Guyana in 2020 only to get stuck there during the COVID-19 pandemic. He said that he regretted going. He felt like he could have saved her. He said that those three made his daughter feel like she had finally found friends, people who cared about her. He said that they were never her friends. He ended by saying that they broke her soul. Shakira's neighbors expressed both grief and guilt for not realizing sooner what was happening behind closed doors. Ms. Spencer's son described the trio who killed his mother as cruel and evil in an impact statement read out to Friday's hearing. The individual, who cannot be named for legal reasons, said, "I've suffered with daily nightmares and anxiety over what happened to her. I cannot get the horrible image of my mother looking skinny and unwell out of my head." The son also paid tribute to his mother, describing her as the best and saying he missed her every day. Investigators pointed out that Shakira's vulnerability came from her desire to be accepted. She wanted to be loved, to be supported, and to have a circle of friends. The people Shakira believed were offering friendship were predators waiting to exploit her. She died alone, believing she was unloved. But the question that continues to haunt this case is this: how did three people manage to torture and isolate a woman for over a year in a residential neighborhood, surrounded by others, without anyone being able to notice it and stop it?